Welcome to this grade 10 CAPS session on equations and inequalities. We will look at linear equations and inequalities and quadratic equations. So let's start with this first example. First thing I look when I see a relatively complex question is for common factors. Now I see there's a common factor of 2 in 4, 16, and 10. So I'm going to divide right through by 2, all the numerators. So that leaves us with 2 times x plus 4 over x is equal to 8 over x plus 5. Now this makes the sum a little bit simpler because we're working with smaller numbers. So this will then say, okay, look at any the denominators, and x is the lowest common multiple, so I'm going to multiply right through by x. So that gives us 2 times x plus 4 is equal to 8 plus 5x. We can multiply the bracket out, so 2x plus 8 is equal to 8 plus 5x. Now we see 8 is in both sides. We're going to subtract 8 and 8, which will leave 0. We're going to subtract 2x and 2x. So this side will just become 0, and that side will become 3x. So 3 times what will give us 0? There's only one answer. X must be equal to 0. Okay. So we're going to move on to our first inequality next. And that will be 5x over 2 plus 1 is less than x over 2. Okay. No common factors in the numerators. We can look at the denominators, the lowest common multiple of 2 times 3, which is 6. So we're going to multiply right through by 6, which will give us 3 times 5x, because 2 goes into 6 3 times, plus 6 is less than 2 times x. 3 goes into 6 twice. So we get 15x plus 6 is less than 2x. So x is to the one side, numbers to the other side, so minus 2x minus 2x, so 13x is less than minus 6, which will give us minus 6. And then we will divide by 13, and therefore x will be less than minus 6 over 13. X is less than 6/13. Okay. So now we're going to go to our first quadratic equation. We'll see that 3x squared is on the left hand side, and we have 12x on the other side. And there's a common factor of 3 and x in both. But we're not going to divide by x. We could divide by 3, but for now I'm not going to do it. So therefore we bring everything to the one side. Okay, minus 12x minus 12x. Now I didn't divide by x for a very obvious reason. If x is 0 by any chance, we will divide by 0, which is undefined. Now we can take out a common factor of 3x, which leaves us with x minus 4 is equal to 0. So therefore 3x is equal to 0, or x minus 4 is equal to 0, which leaves us with x is equal to 0 and x is equal to 4. Now obviously plus 4, and we get x on its own. Now the next equation looks like this. 3x minus 2 times x plus 2 equal to 35. So I'm going to write down a very similar equation that looks like 3x minus 2 times x plus 2 is equal to 0. In this case, don't be tempted to multiply it all out and factorize again. We just make each of the brackets 0. So that will give us x is equal to 2 over 3, or x is equal to minus 2. But in this case, it looks a bit different. So we have to multiply all the brackets out. So that gives us 3x squared plus 6x minus 2x minus 4 is equal to 35, which leaves us with 3x squared plus 4x minus 4 minus 35 is equal to 0. I'm putting maybe an extra step in here just for clarity. If you skip this step and go to the next, it's 100% fine as well. 3x squared plus 4x minus 39 is equal to 0. Now we're going to factorize. First step, common factor. There's no common factor. And you'll see why it's important a bit later on. So then we can have our two brackets and say what's the factors of 3x squared, which will be 3x and x. Factors of 39, that will be 1 times 39, 3 times 13. Okay. So the 1 and the 39 will not give us the right values to give us a 4. So we'll have to work with 3 and 13. So 13 and 3. Now it has to be that way around, because if 3 was in this bracket, we would have a common factor of 3, but we know we don't have any common factors in that equation. Now to get the signs right, we know the signs will differ. One will be positive, the other one negative. So we need a plus 4. So we've got 13 times x and 3 times 3, which is 9. So that means my 13 must be a plus, and that bracket will give me my negative. So then we go back and say 3x plus 13 is equal to 0, or x minus 3 is 0. So working with this side, 3x is equal to minus 13. X will be equal to minus 13 over 3, or x will be equal to 3. Okay, just to put it down a little bit. So x will be minus 13 over 3, or x is equal to 3. Now we're going to go to the last inequality, which is a bit more difficult than the previous one, but if you do it step by step, it's still very doable and not too difficult. In this minus 7 less than 2 minus 3x less than or equal to 23, there are basically two things that can catch you out. Okay. We have 2 minus 3x there in the middle, so we want to get x on its own. Okay. But in this case, we will still need to have the minus 3x. So we will get rid of that minus 2 by subtracting 2 right there. So minus 7 minus 2 is minus 9. There will be a 0 there, and that will be 21. So now we can go and we want x on its own. So divide by minus 3, and minus 3. Now when we divide or multiply by a minus, the signs need to swap around. So that gives us 3 bigger than x, bigger or equal to minus 7. Now I'm going to write in red what would have happened if we didn't swap the signs around. So that would have been 3 would be less than x and less than or equal to minus 7. Now logically 3 can never be less than minus 7. So that should send the red flags up. Okay. We could leave the answer like that, but I like to write numbers according to the number line. So minus 7 is less than 3. So minus 7 is less than or equal to x less than 3. Thank you very much.